Hey, this is IndigoMusic.com. I'm Rohit, and throughout this week, I have been giving away passes for the International Jazz Day celebrations at Koramangala Club. And right now, I'm really honored to be joined by the organizers and the performers of this particular event that's happening at the Koramangala Club. Jagadeesh, Madhuri, and Akshada, welcome to IndigoMusic.com.
Thank you, Rohit. It's
Thank you,
really great to be back at Indigo.
Right.
Again, in a different form.
Yes.
So I'm really happy to be on air with you guys.
Now, when it comes to music, when it comes to anything related to music, Indigo is always there, and that's exactly why we are having this chat right now, Mr. Jagadish. You have put together a beautiful event, and it's going to be happening on the 29th and 30th of this month at the Koramangala Club, and this is to celebrate the International Jazz Day. Now, according to you, you are a jazz lover, and according to you, how much does Bengaluru love jazz?
I think Bengaluru has always loved jazz. I used to organize festivals, even when I was working in Indigo earlier.
Right.
We organized probably the biggest jazz festival in Bengaluru way back in 2007 at the Jaimal Palace. And I've continued to be, involved in organizing jazz concerts. And the Jazz Day, especially every year, is special because that's the day musicians all over the world celebrate jazz. They give something back to this genre, which is this incredible genre which brings people of all what shall I say, diverse backgrounds and, from all over the globe together, all ages come and perform jazz because it's a very liberating kind of music. It frees you completely. And that's probably one of the single most important factor: freedom to improvise, freedom to create, and freedom to mingle freely, freedom to interact with anyone across the globe.
And freedom to incorporate all other genres as well. So it doesn't.
It embraces all forms of music. There's R&B, pop, hip hop. There's so much jazz is doing all over. It's always evolving and it's always a step ahead. So jazz is forever young, and that's what we found in Bengaluru when we started the cafe jazz sessions about 3 months ago. We've already completed 3 such sessions, and it brought in a whole lot of young musicians who are very much into jazz and who wanted to interact with other musicians, senior musicians, and also share their experience with the audience.
Right. And we also have someone who's going to be performing at the International Jazz Day celebrations. We've got Akshada Krishnan, who is, like I mentioned earlier, 1/3 of the Akshada Krishnan trio. Now, Akshada, what can people expect from your performance? And first of all, tell me, why do you love jazz so much?
I think I have explored a couple of genres since the age of 7. I've tried classical piano and pop and rock, but for some reason, jazz is the only genre that's given me the freedom to improvise as much. It just somehow, it's a completely new language that you can speak with anyone on this planet and they somehow understand you. So that's the reason we're doing this. And I think what to expect from our show, our trio showcases a lot of pieces from influences of ours. So there have been a lot of musicians who have inspired us, mentored us. We're going to be interpreting their tunes, and we're going to connect with each other and hopefully with everyone who listens to it.
Right. It's not just you and your band members. There are 10 more other great bands who are going to be performing at this particular event. How do you feel, performing with all these bands?
I actually feel extremely honored. Firstly, this event itself is so rare, and I'm so grateful to have even met people like Jaggi sir and Madhuri ma'am. They've actually brought so many of us together, and none of us even knew about each other. And it's an honor to perform on a stage with such fantastic musicians, and it's always about the music and it's always about the connection. And I'm sure listeners are going to have a great time.
Yes, definitely. They're definitely going to have that. Now, coming back to Jagdish sir, jazz, like you mentioned, that Bengaluru is very, very receptive. And you also mentioned that a lot of young people came forward to perform at this event. Now, what was your reaction when you saw these youngsters coming in and saying, in this era of rap music and hip hop and, being in pop music as well, what was your first reactions like? were you like, oh my God, even young people like jazz?
I was, I was gobsmacked. I really was, and really thrilled about the whole thing, because you're always thinking, oh, this jazz, this niche thing that it's got, and
Right.
and you know it's not niche, and then people saying, no, there are not enough youngsters taking it up and all that, and then you suddenly see all these people just coming out and playing things, and yeah, it was really exciting.
I would call it a resurgence simply because jazz has to be seen from a young musician's point of view.
Right.
And for a youngster to take up, which means it's a really mature point in time when you realize there's something more to be done. And therefore, when you explore jazz, even if you come from a classical background, it's something that's always going to be rewarding.
And also, not only are they interpreting modern jazz, but also standard and traditional jazz. So that itself shows that, the whole genre by itself will survive like that.
Which is why Madhuri will tell you that she's created and conceptualized this continent called jazz. And I think she'll speak a little more about it.
Yeah.
Actually, this continent called jazz, the name itself seemed to be a mythical continent where, it started off as a mythical continent where musicians and artists can come and play freely from all over, from every continent of the world, and using jazz as a metaphor, that it's one of those that, it kind of doesn't discriminate.
Right.
It's supposed to promote equality and peace, harmony, the human spirit, the celebration of the human spirit.
Right.
So this particular production, which is kind of a simple production in Koramangala Club, is going to be how we approach. See, Continent Called Jazz is a larger production, but this is going to be a smaller part of it. How we approach jazz from the subcontinent, that is from here. How we people approach, because we are basically Indian. So every continent has a way in which they approach jazz. So this is how we approach it. In Asia also, you will find that they interpret. So we are in the continent of Asia. So Indonesians, they use their gamelan music to interpret jazz. So then I used to always think, then of course, Indo jazz is there. There has been a genre for a long time.
Right.
But so it's how we approach jazz from the subcontinent, as unique as we can make it, and yet contribute to the format and the music of jazz.
Right. And now let's talk about the venue. This particular event is happening at the Koramangala Club. In fact, at their brand new Prabhat Dwarka Kala Mandir, that
Prabhat Kala Dwarka.
Kala Dwarka auditorium. Why did you select this particular place to be your venue for this particular event?
We were thinking of hosting this year's Jazz Day because last year it could not happen due to the pandemic. And we knew that as we approach each year, we have to look at venue, and traditionally we would have looked at a few venues, but serendipity, the Cornwall Club got in touch with us and said, look, hey, we have this brand new auditorium, why don't we, the guys from BSM start doing something.
Right.
Then when I visited the auditorium, at once I was said, this will be the venue for the Jazz Day, and I got in touch with them, booked the dates, and that's how we've been going back and forth. So they've been extremely, helpful and generous with the whole thing, and so flexible with a lot of things. So I think it's a great partnership. After this event, we plan to do a lot of jazz events at the Cornwall Club because they're very friendly towards the arts and they want a lot of things to happen. They do the theatre fest, something to do with dance and so on. So
also, I was very excited because it's a family, the Prabhat Kalaviduru, who have it's their auditorium, and in 1976 in Bangalore, they came to our school when we performed a version of Cinderella, and they actually performed their own version of Cinderella. So as soon as I heard it that it was Prabhat Kalaviduru, and I was like
they're
so
also
excited, because they're associated with, and that is their venue, and so.
Wow, fantastic.
Also, Rohit, people have been amazingly supportive. It's everyone. Seriously, there has been no person who's, without asking, sometimes even asking, they haven't turned us down for, to support jazz in the city. So that has been a real, including the young ones, the older ones, the oldest ones, I don't know.
Yeah.
So everybody has supported in their own way. And I think that is overwhelming, in fact.
I think that's something which the pandemic also taught people to be, support each other at times of crisis, and that I see that feeling everywhere, even youngsters and the older folks, because you have no idea what's going to happen tomorrow. Might as well do something today,
right,
and get over with it. So that I'm really finding a very positive and encouraging thing, isn't it, Akshata?
Also, if I might add, like being a pianist, generally most venues don't provide for a piano at all. We always have to make do with a lot of keyboards or digital pianos, but they have very generously, somehow managed to get a grand piano transported just for the event, and we are all really excited for it.
That is just that.
That in India is it's almost unheard of. So this is
because it's like shifting a room, because it's it's literally shifting a room. So I mean, I have friends who are also pianists, so I know. I mean, whenever they see a keyboard, they're like, oh God. I mean, I know it's a great instrument, but I want a grand piano. But yeah, it's going to be a fantastic event. I think, congratulations in advance for putting this together. Jagadeesh and Madhuri and Akshada, all the best for your performance happening on the 29th and 30th at the Koramangala Club. Yeah, that's where it's happening. So go there, check it out. It's going to be fantastic. The celebration of International Jazz Day. Once again, Mr. Jagadeesh, Madhuri and Akshada, thank you so much for connecting, and all the best.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Rohit, and hope to see you at the event.
Yes, definitely. We'll be there.
And